Okay. Well, this is an event that we've been wanting to do for some time to promote nonviolence among our students. We think it's an important message in the context of the training that we deliver, which is preparing young people for their future. And with the group that we work with, we think that this is a big issue in their lives and in their communities, and we want to make sure that they have an alternative path out of that and to a better future.
Good afternoon. Positive environment, positive things going on.
Put your two hands together for God. Mandatory. Then, you know, I am honored to be here today. Then I have to say to Brother Booker, brother, hands down across the board, you have possibly the best organization for young people in the United States of America. Yes. 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 And, you know, I just don't say that just to say it. I say it because I've seen Job Corps change people's lives. I've seen many young men, Brother Booker, who are on their way to the penitentiary or the tomb. But with Job Corps adding resources, it changed the quality of a lot of young people's lives. But I would be remiss if I did not ask for us to give a quick and heartfelt moment of silence for the 9 individuals who lost their lives at Emmanuel AME Church in North Carolina. And we also have to give a moment of silence for Mr. Matthew Anderson, who was one of Job Corps' own that tragically lost his life. So let's have a moment of silence, please. Amen. Now I have the distinct introduction of introducing you to 2 men that I know personally. These 2 men are good men who have very good intentions. You always judge a man or woman by their intentions. These 2 men have been thrown into a very, very precarious reality, but they're good men, and they head 2 of the area's 2 largest police departments. St. Louis City Police Department, Brother Sam Dotson, and St. Louis County has John Belmar as its police chief, Chief Belmar. And brothers and sisters, with all that has gone on and with all that has gone wrong, these 2 men are committed to making it right. So we'll hear remarks from Chief Sam Dotson and then from Chief John Belmar. Thank you very much, and God bless each and every one of you.
It is my honor to be here with you today, to see young people come together, and the student leaders from Job Corps, the ROTC program, and everybody that took time today to put on a t-shirt that says, "We must stop killing each other." There's a saying that says, "May you live in interesting times." And we do live in interesting times with Twitter and Facebook and all the things that we have. But that's a double-edged sword. Some people think that comes from a Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times. We see the violence that James Clark talked about in North Carolina. We see the violence right here on your campus. That's not good. We are better than that as a community. We are better than that as a society. We, everybody in this room, everybody up here, can change this. When we come together with James Clark, when we come together with John Belmar, when we come together with Sam Dotson, we are stronger than anybody out there that wants to prey on us. And the only way we can do this, the only way we can be successful, is when we come together as a community like we are here today. So we have to stop the violence. We have to stop killing each other. Black lives matter. White lives matter. Every life matters. So when I go to work every day, at the end of the day, I hope that I made the city a little bit better with what we do. All I ask is every day when you go out, you go to school, go out with your friends, do something in the community, leave our city a little better than when we found it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support, and be safe.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege to be here. My father's 83 years old. He had quadruple bypass Friday morning. He had a stroke on Tuesday. So we don't know if Dad's going to make it through, but prayers are going to make a difference. But I'm sitting in his hospital room, and I see the news break about the horrible killing in the Carolinas. And I thought, what a tragedy. What a senseless tragedy for that to happen. And then you turn the news on, and you see it over and over and over. And my goodness, I don't have the words to express the sorrow and what it would take to do something like that. But my goodness, we ought to feel the same about every young man and woman that's killed on our streets throughout the United States. And we ought to be able to understand that their lives matter too, and that we should, as a community, pay attention to that as much as things that perhaps are more provocative. I'll say something a little different today. We all know about the fact we can't arrest our way to a better community. We can't arrest our way out of problems. We can do a better job. But I had an occasion last summer to meet a lady named Sister Ebo. Sister Ebo is an African-American nun. And in 1965, Sister Ebo was a young lady working in the church, and she went to Selma, Alabama to cross the Pettus Bridge. But there were other civil rights workers down there before she took off, and they had been hospitalized because they had been beaten. But Sister Ebo didn't cancel her trip. Sister Ebo flew down there, but she had to land in a farmer's field and travel through the timber to get to the church that day. And when she got there and the doors opened, the pastor in the middle of his service looked at her and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we have an angel among us." In my world, Sister Ebo is the closest I'll ever come to Mother Teresa, so I saw her last summer. She's 91 years old. I sat in the car that she was sitting in, kind of on the stoop, and she held my hand. And we talked. I asked her about her life. She wanted to know about my family. And I told her all about it. I said, "Sister Ebo, you're a sweetheart." She says, "I'm too old to be a sweetheart." I said, "No, you're not." But while we were talking, Sister Ebo said something to me that I'll never forget. She says, "I need a favor." I said, "Sister, anything." She said, "I need you to pray for me."
Truth is I'm tired, options are few. I'm trying to pray, but where are you?
History has taught us that the effectiveness of Mahatma Gandhi's nonviolent protests for justice, and of course Martin Luther King's powerful nonviolent doctrine, were effective in bringing about change. It was Martin Luther King who told us that man must evolve from all human conflict, a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. And the foundation for that is love. The love that Dr. Martin Luther King speaks of is embedded all around us. It's embedded in our families, in our friendships, and in our neighborhoods. And where it should be most firmly embedded is within our hearts. And that starts with you and with me. Our Job Corps community here in St. Louis suffered a recent tragic loss. Matthew Anderson sought to better his life and to pull himself up, and he turned to Job Corps for help in doing just that. But most sadly, he was taken away from us far too soon. In the wake of such a senseless tragedy, I want to thank the Job Corps staff for their critical role that they played. Our staff members were in place to provide the counseling and the guidance for every student who was enrolled in the St. Louis Job Corps program. I also want to acknowledge the law enforcement, who was the two chiefs that are here today, for their role as well. Our commitment to safety and fostering a secure environment is paramount to the successful training and education of our students. The National Job Corps Association and the 125 centers throughout the country, including the St. Louis Center here, recognize and pledge their full cooperation towards justice. And the flame of Matthew Anderson's memory will continue to burn brightly within us, as will his quest for a better tomorrow.
Black and white, this room would be ugly. But it's a bunch of color in here. Yellow, orange, green, blue. So that's that diversity. That's that intertwine. That's what makes the world go round. You can't separate yourself and be successful. Whites need blacks. Blacks need whites. No matter what you may think, this is my personal opinion. We need each other to become successful.
I was blessed, I would say that. I was blessed to have an RA like Ms. Jones. I was blessed to have another RA by Ms. McDaniels. I was blessed to have my painting instructor, because I was in a painting trade. I was blessed to have my counselors, my mentor, he was here earlier. Just being surrounded by people who actually want to help you in life is very hard to find, especially at this stage when you're a young person coming up and growing up.
Booker T. Jones was a man who had dreams and desires to be a part of a solution to help America's disadvantaged. Starting as a residential officer at the now Earl C. Clemens Job Corps Center. He soon moved up through the ranks to center director in Mississippi. His vision was grander. He wanted to form his own company. He did so with Minac and won the contract for St. Louis Job Corps. His dreams and his drive, led by a pain that has taken his company to become a primary operator of 10 Job Corps centers. Under his guidance, his company has helped thousands of young people reach their promised potential. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like I'd like you to welcome B.T. Jones.
My plate is overflowing with joy and happiness because we have students from 3 other Job Corps centers that Minac operates. Benjamin Hooks, Finch Henry, Excelsior Springs, and they're being hosted by the St. Louis Job Corps Center. You know, you just gotta know I'm proud about it.
We also, yes, we want to impact violence in our community, but violence is widespread across the country. This is just a seed that we're planting here, and we want to spread it throughout.
I want to ensure the parents and the relatives of the students that this is a safe Job Corps center. Was before then, still is. Oh, absolutely, and they have to feel safe in order to concentrate on the academic and the vocational training that we provide. If they don't feel safe, they don't do the best effort in that regard. So it's a safe center, and we want them to feel safe, and I feel that they do.